Inspiration can come from all sorts of unusual places. For example, the rose ear vine project that I'm going to be showing you today was inspired in 2005 by a text-based smiley. Welcome back. I got on the internet back in 1998, before there were smartphones, before there was Instagram, and when a platform like YouTube was still considered the stuff of science fiction. Back then, websites were mostly text-based. There wasn't much in the way of graphics, and instant messaging was done via a program called Internet Relay Chat, or IRC. Now, with IRC, there wasn't the ability to express any kind of emotion, so people created a bunch of text-based emoticons known then as smileys. The one that I liked in particular is this one, which was a rose smiley. Now, in 2005, I was participating in the Year of Jewelry project, and one of the weekly themes was called Wine and Roses, and it immediately made me think of this smiley. So eventually, the rose ear vine is what came out of that particular weekly inspiration. An ear vine is an earring that snakes up the side of your ear like this and gets held in place by pressure from a wire that's on the back. It's different from an ear cuff, which attaches to your ear here, but it's similar in that it can be worn as a single. This is an ideal project if you're new to wire work or if you're new to working with square wire.
The tools you'll need for this project are flat nose pliers, round nose pliers, chain nose pliers, flush cutting wire nippers, a ruler or measuring tape, a permanent fine tip marker, a jeweler's file, and a rouge cloth. Optional tools are a cup burr and a pin vise. The materials you'll need are 6 inches, 15 centimeters of 22 gauge 0.75 millimeter square half hard wire and a 4 millimeter bead that slides easily on the wire. Clean and straighten the 6-inch 15 centimeter piece of 22 gauge wire with your fingers or the rouge cloth. Cut one end flush with the wire nippers and file it with the jeweler's file. Using the flat nose pliers, grip the wire approximately 2 millimeters from the end and bend it into a crimp. Then, flip the wire around and feed on the 4 millimeter bead, pushing it all the way to the crimped end. Grip the wire just next to the bead with the flat nose pliers. You'll want to leave a small gap that approximately equals the thickness of the pliers. Basically, what you're doing here is making room for your pliers when you make the next bend. This is important if you're using a fragile bead like a Swarovski crystal. Trying to make a bend too close to the bead may cause it to shatter. You'll also want to make sure to turn the crimped end so that it looks like a straight line. Bend the wire 90 degrees. Next, move the flat nose pliers to the corner and carefully bend the wire in a smooth curve around the bead. Move the pliers along the curve and continue bending the wire in a circle until it lines up with the crimped end. Make adjustments as you go so you get a nice round shape. Switch over to the round nose pliers and set the tips at a point that lines up with the outer edge of the rose. Then, bend the wire around the pliers. Grab hold of the last bend, then use your nail to curve the wire so that it runs parallel to the curve above it. Set the tips at a point that lines up with the outer edge of the rose again. Then, bend the wire around the pliers. Using your nail, curve the wire so that it runs parallel to the one next to it. Before you move on, take a moment to adjust the spacing between the curves to make them a bit narrower. Turn the rose so that it faces up like this. Then, visualize a line running vertically through the center of the bead, splitting the rose in half. Mark a spot on the bottom wire that lines up with the dead center of the bead. Grip the wire at the mark with the flat nose pliers and make a 90-degree bend. Remember to keep your fingers close to the pliers and apply pressure right at this point so that you get a sharp bend. Then, use your thumb to add a slight curve to the wire. From the last bend, measure and mark 3/8 of an inch, 1 centimeter. Switch to the chain nose pliers. Grip the wire at the mark and bend the wire slightly more than 90 degrees in the opposite direction from the last bend. In other words, you're creating a zigzag. Use your thumb to add a slight curve to the wire close to the bend. Now, measure and mark 1/4 inch, 6 millimeters, from that bend. Set the tips of the chain nose pliers just next to the mark, on the side that is closer to the bend. Bend the wire around the pliers to form a V shape. You'll notice that the mark does not move. Move the chain nose pliers to the other side of the V and continue bending the wire into a leaf shape. Where it meets the stem, grip the wire with the tips of the chain nose pliers. Bend the wire 90 degrees. Turn the rose on its side, reposition the pliers on the stem, and then bend the wire over the pliers to form a zigzag. Continue to bend the wire slightly more than 90 degrees. From here, you're going to repeat steps 25 to 28 to make a second leaf, so let's go through it again quickly. Measure and mark 1/4 inch, 6 millimeters from the last bend. Set the tips of the chain nose pliers just next to the mark, on the side that's closer to the bend. Bend the wire around the pliers to form a V. Move the chain nose pliers to the other side of the V and continue bending the wire into a leaf shape. Where it meets the stem, grip the wire with the tips of the chain nose pliers and bend it 90 degrees. Turn the rose so that it's oriented vertically and check to make sure that the crimp you made in step 3 is facing towards the back. Reposition the tips of the chain nose pliers just below the last bend. You'll want to make sure that the stem and the pliers are perpendicular to each other. Bend the wire 90 degrees towards the back. From this bend, measure and mark 1 inch, 2.5 centimeters, and then trim off the wire with the flush cutters. Make sure that the flat edge of the cutters is facing the finished work. File the end with a jeweler's file, or if you like a more rounded tip, you can use a cup burr inserted into a pin vise to file the end round.
This is the part of the ear vine that is going to go through your ear, but some people find it really uncomfortable to wear square wire this way, so I recommend putting a twist on this part of the wire.
To do that, insert the end of the wire into the pin vise and tighten it up. Make sure to insert only as much as you need to hold the wire, otherwise you'll end up with a long untwisted section. Grip the wire with the chain nose pliers at the bend, and then start twisting. The more you twist, the more smooth the wire will feel when I feed it through your ear.
Twisting the wire is going to cause it to work harden a little bit, so you'll want to keep that in mind.
Once you're happy with the amount of twist you have, remove the wire from the pin vise and add a slight downward sloping curve to the wire with your thumb. Switch to the round nose pliers and set the wire into the pliers next to the 90-degree bend at about 7/16 or 1 centimeter from the tips. Bend the wire over the pliers so that the curve comes quite close to the stem. That'll finish up the ear vine and it'll be ready to wear. Now the way this works is that you insert the ear vine like you would a normal ear wire, but then turn it up so that it rests along the earlobe. The curved wire behind here holds the ear wire in place with slight pressure, so you'll want to adjust it until it feels comfortable and secure to wear.
Your vines are often just worn as singles, but there's nothing stopping you from making a pair if you want to. If you enjoyed this project, then please remember to like, share, and comment in the section below because I always love to hear from you. I also love seeing the results that people get from my tutorials, so once you finish this project, send me your pictures. You can contact me through my website at thetowelwire.com. That's it for today. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.